bacon?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm insulted.
What?
He says, "Well, you lost better as bacon and better than what I
Is that, or they're
Live with it.
Oh.
You're gonna live without it. I'll have to go to Mike. I'll have to go to Mike Chulo's then.
That's the right.
And then put on.
That's it. No bacon for you. I will not make.
What is the
bacon for you.
biggest opponent of right on the 11th?
Okay, before we begin, we just want to let people know that this, meeting is being recorded so that if anyone needs to be, put anything in the chat or speaking, it can be forwarded at a later date. All right, Madam Chair, and Chair's chairs. Madam.
Somebody.
Right there.
All right. I want to introduce Elise, who I saw there.
Hi.
Hi. And
Kevin Williams.
Kevin
Williams?
Williams? No,
He's
Yeah.
with, he's environmentalist.
The environmental. Yeah.
okay.
And Amber is actually from his team. I just saw her here. So if you have, he's got 2 smart brains on it for your meeting today. So we got Amber and Kevin.
Hello, everyone.
No. All right, so we're gonna have a follow-up discussion on 56 Brighton 11th Street. And I guess the committee's gonna be polite and let the attorney speak.
Okay, well, I thought first, because as I explained to you that through this process, things get updated. So I thought that we could first just introduce to you the new breakdown of staff and students. It's less than before. So there should be less of an impact if that'll work for everyone. And then we can just kind of get into your questions about the EAS and the process, because I think we went through a lot of this last time and I don't want to be too repetitive or waste anyone's time. But can I have access to screen share?
You do, you have access.
It says host disabled participant screen share.
Co-host, make her co-host.
Better?
Thank you so much. Yeah,
That's all
should
you
work.
can say.
Okay, here we go. Share. So I just wanted to, because last time I think there was a little confusion too about this part. So, does everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And see the breakdown? Okay, so I just wanted to show you, so you can see the complete breakdown of the different classrooms and the ages. But it's going to be from 6 months to 6 years old. You can see makes up all the 7 classrooms, and you can see how they're broken down. And then there'll be a total of 77 children, which is the same, but now there's a total of 28 staff. Before we had more staff. And this was all changes based on comments from the Board of Standards and Appeals, and we're supposed to be meeting with, or we're going to be meeting with them on Tuesday. So I thought I would start here, and then I guess I would ask the board how you want us to address various questions, or if people want to just start asking their EAS questions. We submitted the notice of comments to your board. I hope everyone saw it, and it had an updated EAS. And
Elise, may I make a remark as well?
oh, yes, of course.
So given the concerns that the board previously had about the age of our analysis that was presented to DOT, we have placed traffic cameras out on the corridor, and we will be redoing the sort of curb utilization, field observation, traffic analysis. The numbers related to traffic generation are the same, but we certainly wanted to update that analysis. So that is ongoing. It will be submitted to DOT. We can also submit it to the CB at your pleasure.
Mark, Bernie has a question.
Yes, I had a question. The first EAS and your comments at the previous board meeting were a lower number of kids. The current EAS is 120 kids, not 77. That's the paperwork you filed. So that the BSA. So I'm a little confused on that.
Mark, that actually might be switched around. So the EAS is currently evaluating 28 staff members and 77 students, and that's
Right.
reflected in the most recent submission from Elise based on changes to the architectural plans, and those numbers are based on max occupancy of the space. So that should be the current numbers. The 120 was
That was the
outdated.
analysis that was presented to the board previously. You received
see.
an environmental assessment that was superseded. So we analyzed something originally that was a worst case condition. So this is significantly fewer students and actually fewer teachers.
Yeah, so you should have received, I don't know if you got it, but in the meantime, I sent Eddie a new link and we also noticed the board.
Okay. I had pulled mine from the BSA's website. I didn't pull yours. What was
Okay.
actually submitted?
Well, we resubmitted it. We did notice after the notice of comments, we sent another link to your board. And so you should have a new one.
Again, I didn't take your link. I went to BSA's website and looked at your
Okay, sorry.
submission.
Okay.
So they might not have what you think they should have.
They
That's what it's-
definitely have it because they acknowledged it. And I submitted it and I proved I submitted it. So I don't know why they don't update their website, but I know they have it.
Well, there's all kinds
Okay.
of documents there under the case. So that was what I pulled down. I don't tend to try to read what necessarily. Anyway,
Okay, anyway, Ida has a comment, Mark. All
okay,
right.
go ahead. I'll yield. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, on your EAS, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. It says there's historical maps show that there is a potential vapor encroachment condition to the subject property. And based on the findings of your phase one, potential VECs could not be ruled out.
Sure.
Therefore, the proposed action may have potential for adverse impact related to hazardous materials.
Yeah.
And a
Get
phase
it?
two
Yes.
ESA is warranted to further investigate the potential VECs identified in phase one ESA. Have you commenced the phase two investigation yet?
I can respond to that, Kevin. So the beginning of this week, or I believe the end of last week, we submitted a remedial investigation work plan detailing the scope of investigation, which would consist of indoor air sampling in the space to be occupied by the proposed daycare. That's currently under review by the DEP. And once they approve and concur with that scope of investigation, then we can proceed with the phase two investigation.
And let me also follow up. So the language that you're reading is very standard. If you do any type of discretionary action in New York City, you generally have to do a phase one. And there might be 1 out of 100 that does not result in a VEC. I basically, anything in New York City, across the street, anywhere, any home in the area is going to require a phase two. So we do that out of caution, even though it's a new building and a vapor barrier has been deployed. And so Amber says, as noted, out of an abundance of caution, the idea behind soil vapor is there was a past use that might emit vapor that could enter through a cavity in the slab. And we want to assure that that isn't the case. If it is the case, it would be remediated. So yes, this is out of abundance of caution.
If you have a vapor barrier in place, is there also a sub-slab depressurization system?
No, and it's no. So you don't do that until you actually identify that you need it through a phase two. So
you mentioned that there was a vapor barrier in place.
that's standard standard construction methodologies
Okay.
that did not come out of our action because the building was built prior to it, but that is standard New York City construction. So the vapor barrier was not placed there out of any recommendations because no phase two was done for the as-of-right structure. So to place this school here out of an abundance of caution and as required by City Environmental Quality Review, we performed a phase one. That phase one indicated that there were off-site uses within 1/8 of a mile that have past uses that could have contamination, that could have leached through the ground to our site. And so the idea is from that DEP reviews that analysis and then determines, based on our recommendation and theirs specifically, whether or not additional subsurface investigation or air monitoring is required. And so we have submitted that that plan to do the phase 2. DEP has to concur with that. And then once they concur with the parameters of our proposed investigation, we will initiate it. Once we initiate it and we get the analytic findings back from it, we will propose remediation as warranted from that and as required by the DEP.
So you really have yet to commence, you've submitted your remedial investigation work plan and you're still waiting to see whether or not it's acceptable.
Right, correct.
And to just clarify, in order for DEP to sign off on this application and for BSA to issue a decision, we have to get up until the point that DEP reviews the findings. And if anything is identified, they've also signed off on a remedial action work plan that details any necessary mitigation.
Okay, so you still have to go through not only New York City, but New York State oversight as well.
Not New York State. It goes to DEP. New York State, it would only be required if it's seriously hazardously contaminated, which is highly unlikely. But if that occurs, but no, it's under the purview of DEP.
What is the timeline on these processes?
I would say another 3 months probably to go, because it's like you prepare it and then it takes 30 days for DEP to review it. Then you go to the next step, it takes them 30 days, and that's aggressive, probably more like 45 days. So it's going to take some time. This is standard fare at any rezoning, any variance, any 7319. That very great amount of due diligence and care has taken on these processes. And as Amber indicated, the variance cannot be granted without an approval of the remedial actions if warranted by DEP. So the project would not proceed if it's not safe in the eyes of DEP.
And also, don't forget, these are very young children, toddlers, in fact.
And ground floor.
On the ground floor. So they can be very, very well affected because that's when the growth of the children occurs. So this has to be very, very, very well inspected before any children.
It is, sir.
Abroad.
Literally every school we do has a phase 2. Everyone, and I'm talking 40, 50 schools over the past 5 years. There, we understand the standards. We take it personally, and it doesn't even matter if we take it personally. DEP has very strict standards on what is allowed for human occupation, whether it's an elderly or whether it's a single family residence, whether it's a multifamily dwelling, or whether it's a school. It has to be safe for human habitation, whether you're a newborn or 90 years old or older.
Thank you.
I have a question. I mean, maybe somebody can explain to me. You're planning to do new traffic study, updated one. You are waiting for DEP evaluation, so we don't know as of now if it's safe for children and on and on.
It will be safe for children.
Okay,
It will
after
It will be
certain,
made safe for children. Yes.
okay, after certain work is being done.
Yes.
So actually, I mean, last time when we met, we did not have any kind of updated environmental study. Now we have half updated. I'm really wondering, I mean, I'm talking about myself only. I do not speak on behalf of committee. How can I make informed decision if I have no information?
Well, you have all of the information, and this is just every single community board does this. You never get a complete environmental assessment on a Board of Standards and Appeals application, whether or not you know it. So the thing is, it's up to the discretion of the agencies to determine whether it's safe, and they will make that determination. So I I hear what you're saying. You don't have a letter from DEP. We haven't even had a first hearing at the BSA. It usually takes 3 to get approved. And that's because it takes that long to get the approvals from the review agencies. So I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding about the process. And so what I would suggest is, if you're skeptical, as you should be, is, in your resolution, reconsidering the application that you already reviewed, if you're going to indicate that on its essence you support it, given that DEP indicates it's safe for human occupation and small children, given that DOT indicates it's safe for the placement of a school. Other than that, this is the standard process, because it takes a very, very long time, months and months for DOT and for the agency to review. And what the board wants to do is get your review before we have that first hearing. So they know this takes a very long time.
Board already knows that they will not get our review before your first hearing, because letter was sent to the Board of Standards and Appeals, and I
got it.
believe you have a copy that it was tabled, and we won't have any resolution before May 20th. I mean,
Well, they're not going to have a DEP resolution before the end of the whole process. So there's this, like he explained. So what happens is we have to go through the entire end, and they only close and grant this application once they get sign-offs from all the agencies. So that happens at the very, very end.
I perfectly understand this CP, but if somebody can explain to me, why are you doing new traffic study now, even though you knew from the beginning you have an outdated one done during COVID? I would greatly appreciate.
It wasn't done during COVID. It was done after COVID. So
it was 24th. It was
because I
21st.
will tell you, the concerns related to traffic impact under seeker are not really the concerns that the community board has. Okay. And again, none of the data that we're going to collect is going to affect what DOT reviews. So I'm just going to be really honest about that. They look at the traffic generation from the project. They look at the number of curb cuts. And yes, they consider the intensity of use. But based on the traffic and the size of the facility, this is far under a potential impact where it doesn't even warrant a detailed traffic impact study. So we are going out again and doing the analysis because this community board requested it, not because it will sway the eyes of DOT. It will make a better safety plan because we will be more familiar with the ins and outs of every curb cut. By the way, I called the funeral home next door. I also reviewed its hours of operation online, and it does indeed not start until 10:30. Its hours of operation are 10:30 to 4:30. So we've already been out there repeatedly, but we want to document all of the findings that we have and put traffic cameras out there. Out of deference, we didn't have to place cameras. We didn't have to go through this cost and effort. Could have just went out and taken site photos. But we want to provide a safety plan so that when the school starts, that the administrators of the school are able to observe that camera data, understand how to train their staff, and to effectively get beyond the environmental assessment statement to a strong, safe operational plan. And that's why we did it. So it's a numbers game with DOT rather than an observation game necessarily.
Can I add one thing too? As part of the 7319 process, you did it like that, and we wanted to share that information with you. We're required to go before the DOT and have a discussion, right, Kevin? Before
Yes.
we even get to the BSA. So what you saw was the presentation we put together that we were required to do before we even started our application at the BSA per BSA requirements. So all we're trying to show you is that we've been doing these studies through time and following the rules that the BSA has outlined.
Yeah, that's kind of gotten us into some trouble with you, basically providing all of the materials of this assessment. That was before we even had an application, like months and months and months, year before we even started the environmental assessment.
But
So
we're required to do it because that's the
Right.
BSA's requirement.
And then again, the other thing is we had to revise the entire environmental assessment because the school dropped 50 students and dropped staff members. So yeah, this is not a static process that happens in a 6-month window. We started this 3 years ago. So, and this requires materials to be updated. And that's the Board of Standards and Appeals process. Rather than city planning, where you get a certified environmental assessment where everything is complete, you're kind of in the flow of the findings. So,
It's Angela. It's Angela.
All right, anybody else?
Well, we want to, wait for
Wait for
Angela.
Angela, yeah.
but I'm sure she has.
We have
some
another community member
Oh,
on her
Michael.
way up, okay?
question. Oh, Michael Russo has a question. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. Where's Michael?
All right, I'm here. I'm gonna put my face on. What do you call it? There we go. Hello. All right, the only question I have on the phase two, as far as the air sampling, is that gonna go on for a while? I don't know the corner well, but from what I understand, there's a body shop on the corner. The area well, sorry.
it used to be a body shop. It's just a parking lot now with car storage. But yeah, I mean, so it will go on. Amber, what you remember what the remedial investigation work plan?
I'm pulling it up right now, but I want to say it's like either 24 hours or 2 days that the sampling occurs.
Right.
They'll do it on Sunday night, like they do the traffic studies.
No, it's Tuesday in January.
Well, just remember, it's not about ambient air, but we will test that as well. It's about air coming through the ground, right? It's about it's about vapor intrusion underground into the building. So, it's not about PM 2.5 particulate and that sort of thing. Although Amber, I don't know, are we testing PM 2.5?
No, this is to address the vapor encroachment condition. This is to address the potential for
Subsurface condition. Yeah.
Right.
So-
Okay.
and that doesn't discriminate on the week.
All right, like I said, from the meetings that I did that we spoke about before, they said there was a body shop on the corner. That's now a parking lot.
Somebody said it was a body shop, but I tried to correct it. I literally was out there the morning before the hearing, and it's a parking lot, not a body shop.
No, because with the body shop, they would have to put a spray booth in because I'm more worried about
Right.
fumes.
Yeah.
I'm more worried about fumes and young lungs.
Michael, excellent point. So we do this all the time. It's called air toxics assessment. If there was a spray booth, unpermitted or permitted with DEP, we would have to do air modeling and demonstrate that aerosol emission is not impactful, and that's nasty stuff. So that's not going on at that location.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
They have car wash, Michael, and this is it's not really parking lot. They're selling cars. I saw some repair, but not a real auto body shop. I mean, they were changing tires, something like that. That's what I saw a few weeks ago.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you very much.
Mark, go ahead, Mark.
Okay, the previously unused curb cut you had at number 16, which is now a high-end car wash, there's always a McLaren or something well overpriced parked in there. I don't know what else if there's detailing, painting, just looking in, walking past it, it just is $300, $500 car wash.
Right.
But,
we reviewed the permits on that, and just so you know, that's another thing that DEP reviews. We do a very detailed air toxic review, a review of all state. So if there's a Title V emission source, if there's a DEP emissions, or if there's a potentially unpermitted use, we have to do a full technical analysis, and that is in the environmental assessment air quality section. And then DEP will review that, and they'll say, hey, did you check this? Did you check that? They review everything specifically. So that is absolutely something that we checked in that facility, and there is no air toxics emission. And
Okay.
particularly on a new use, you'll often see like old like people, if people do illegal activity, they're generally like been there a long time and they're working under the radar, but this is a new use, fully licensed and no air permit issues.
All right,
And
thank you. It was
Yeah.
unused in your original
Right.
report, and now it's well used.
No, Jeff, and you, Jeff?
I have another question. If I remember correctly, the kids are gonna be using the rooftop for activities? Is that true?
Yeah, for recreational area.
Okay, there's the trains that go by there. Are
Yes.
there any studies being done with the noise levels or the particulates that the trains can be distributing with the rails that could affect
So
the kids?
there's no requirement to do air quality assessment off of the rail. That this generally doesn't have emissions. Having said that, noise emissions are a serious issue. So as documented, and I, if you want Amber to go into more detail, we do a very detailed study, not only from the ambient environment. So we put a sound monitor out there. There are specific code requirements for recreational use of a rooftop and certain requirements for outdoor play areas for children. So we have an acoustic wall that will be placed, and also that also prevents the sound of children play. There's also, we have to analyze the impact of children playing on residences as well. So the attenuate, and again, this is something that has to be reviewed and approved by DEP, and we've done many of these. We have to demonstrate that the decibel level, and Amber, I don't know if you can
Yeah,
reference.
I was gonna add to that. So we did 24-hour noise monitoring on the roof of the existing building within line of sight to that rail. And the noise levels are actually surprisingly low. They're actually typical of what you would see just on a regular trafficked roadway without a rail. I guess just due to the speed of the rail in that location. So we're at about a 70.5 at a max, which is on the low range of ambient noise.
So that's 70 point whatever it is above ambient sound?
No,
I think it's
70.5 absolute. So that's the ambient noise level. Having said that, regardless, we're still providing acoustic fencing. But remember, the building, and generally on New York City, whether it's Long Island Railroad or New York City Transit, MTA rail lines, you'll find the noise level below the train tracks to be much higher because you don't have continuous welded rail, and you oftentimes see exposed structure below, and all of that noise from the tracks, the rail cars hitting the tracks is what makes the noise. So we're a little bit above. There's also a parapet wall that's also blocking that. So, but again, this is the findings of the noise study will be subject to mitigation by DEP if they determine it necessary. So all of that analysis is in, as well as the combination of road traffic and train traffic, all has to be mitigated. All has to be mitigated if it results in a potential harm.
Okay, so all these studies are in the
future.
progress.
In the future.
No, they're completed, have been completed, and they're on page 60. Let's see, the full study is page 57.
The old
NDA.
The old thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I will continue with children. Wait. No, Angela. Okay, I have a question. Continue children on the roof. So if you have children daycare, the physical daycare on the ground level and first level, so are you using elevator?
Yes, I'm sure they would for small children, yes.
Okay, so how many elevators do you have in a building?
Give me 1 second.
And I'll look at the plans. Exit passenger elevator. You want me to share the plans?
No, I'm just wondering, how many
Yeah,
elevators? What's capacity?
Yeah, but I'll just show you
But
where they
taking
are.
into consideration that you have already have some other businesses in this building, So, I mean, just a question.
Psychiatrist.
Huh?
There's one. I see another one.
I did not see it, I mean, but.
It's right
maybe-
here. Do you see him on my screen? There's the existing passenger elevator.
One?
One.
No, I saw one.
Yeah. But I
We're
think
not
that-
taking all the children will not go to roof at once. That, this is for a short respite. So, teachers will take them up incrementally. So that this is, again, we're not talking about a 500-person school. It's 70 children, and there are
And I imagine that the younger children, the infants aren't using this outdoor area either.
Yeah, Nicholas.
Right.
On a straw, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and one comment. If I'm not mistaken, just a few days ago, this community board had a transportation committee, and what they were talking about noise from the train, or even before. So hearing that it's okay, when you have train in the back, I think it's.
No, I didn't. Nobody said it's okay. Okay, like
It's slow, you said
it's a
it's
train.
slow.
It's a
Okay.
train, but the playground area is 50 feet in the air, as opposed to, Brighton 10th, where you have single family houses, windows in the back abutting the rail tracks, as well as on Brighton 11th, the 2-story, sort of row houses here, all have rears directly facing the track as, at the same level as the train going by. So we're above that. And again, having said that, the children are up here for 15, 20 minutes. They're not, sleeping, at 11 o'clock at night in a room that's directly abutting the train. So I'm not suggesting that it's quiet. As Amber said, we look at trains throughout the entire city. We often see decibel levels at 80, 81. So, here where we identified 70 from monitoring on the rooftop, she's saying comparatively that is low compared to other situations we've identified. But that does not mean we're not still going to take remedial measures and place an acoustic fence on the rooftop. So, that's didn't mean to indicate that that's not an issue, because if I were a resident on 10 Brighton in a 2-story house, I would certainly have issues with the train.
Eddie, can I have the city of yes thing?
And
Angela, then, Michael.
Thanks.
Michael.
So in your study, you said that you need to have interior noise level of 45 decibels.
Correct.
And right now you have what, about 70? So you have.
No, so outside it, so great question. The requirement for community facility or residential building is to maintain an interior decibel level of 45 decibels. And, so that means, and then if the outside is 70, the idea is the wall and the windows have to attenuate that noise so that you maintain a closed condition inside the building that maintains the 45 decibel level. So typically masonry walls, run between 45 and 55 decibels of attenuation. Windows can run anywhere from random windows that you install in your house that you get from Home Depot at like 20 all the way up to 40. So what we have to do is, once the schools fit out, we actually have to do a closure letter to Department of Environmental Protection, demonstrating that the interior noise level will be below 45 decibels during the entire period from 7 a.m. to 7
That's
p.m.
not amazing.
So yes, you have to maintain 45 decibels, and that's compared to an outside decibel level of 70, which means that the window and wall structure has to attenuate 25 decibels of that noise that's emanating. And on the ground floor, it's much louder. So from the train. So we have to have very solid masonry structure. We have to have very high quality windows in place.
So you will have to do this work, then do the testing. And
Well, we've already done testing with a bare interior, and we are like a decibel over. So once the it's partitioned and fit out and there's carpeting and the ceiling is done, we'll have to demonstrate that we have to be below 45, but we've already done interior testing. And it's very, very close, even with a shelled building that wasn't completely done, it was very close to meeting that noise level.
And you don't have to protect any noise at the roof. You don't have to build anything on the roof, right? You're saying you're okay as a.
No, they're building.
They're putting up a wall.
It's still subject to the opinion of
It's the wall,
DEP. But the idea is the noise exposure that's is what people are experiencing basically on the sidewalk. Children are not going to be directly exposed to it. And so no, I don't believe, and Amber, you can correct me. I'm not sure if attenuation is required based on the analysis.
I don't believe attenuation is required based on the analysis. That being said, acoustic fence is really not a big deal to employ. And I think just in an abundance of caution, even if DEP doesn't require it, it can be.
Yeah, it can be deployed.
Thank you. I have one more question. I saw 3 rooms, 3 of the classrooms for children are without windows and natural light. I think that's okay, right? The Department of Health is okay with it?
Yeah.
Oliver, yeah.
For daycare, absolutely.
But they don't have to have windows, okay? Alright,
Angela Rance,
thanks.
had my question.
Yeah.
Talking about the sound attenuation plan.
But it's not
Inside
only
as well.
sound,
on
I'm
top.
sorry, it's not only sound. Angela was featured in a program, I was standing next to her. I mean, everyone knows what's going on in the truck. They were doing the simple lead test and it came positive, it's a lead, so I mean, whatever. Not tough.
So you're,
I'm done, I'm good.
you're done?
Yeah.
Any other comments from anybody? Okay,
So, what you guys can do now is to, put, recommendation before the board. Whether to approve this with conditions. So that, it can be voted as full board.
I'm confused. We already voted.
No, we
No,
didn't vote.
committee already voted, actually.
No,
No, the
with
committee voted
modifications, the committee
with the
voted.
modification, so you can bring it back to the board
But
again.
wait a minute, but we table it for whatever reason, because we did not get updated
Yeah.
environmental study and on,
Mhm.
okay? And if you, so the letter sent to Board of Standards and Appeals, it clearly says that it was the table because of so and so and so and so. So let's say we got some information, I don't know if you have.
You got a copy of that letter? I don't.
No, it's just, the
You have a
standard-
copy of
yeah,
this letter
yes,
because
yes,
I
it was
saw
done.
your name.
It was done, it was, the one that we just said that there will not be a recommendation from the community board for their first hearing on May 20th. And due to the fact that we are tabling it and, the next time we will be voting will be on May 22nd, which will be after the first.
It was
hearing.
here.
Yes, so,
Okay,
now
You have
you
a
can
copy,
still,
Mary?
so you can still,
it's been a rough.
so you can take what you've made, the vote on and bring before the board and say that now we understand with their updated
Well,
information.
to Sam, I can't make that
Oh, okay,
meeting.
Okay,
so, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
wake up.
So,
Michael, what do we have to do? You're professor. You're my person to go to. Who's? Talk to me.
No,
Marion is right. We already
There
voted.
was,
Yeah.
You already
there was a vote,
Yes.
there was
okay.
a vote. It was brought to
There
the
were with
community.
condition, I don't remember,
With
with
some,
condition,
with
with
some
some conditions.
With conditions.
Okay, we voted in the committee with some conditions that actually was dictated to us, whatever, okay?
Right.
We brought it after this meeting, after the land use committee meeting.
We brought it to the full.
I'm
board.
a bad one, so I start looking for something, so I found something, whatever, back and forth, back and forth. You remember we had conversation about it? So it was stable. Marian, as a co-chair said, we voted, but this is what we found out, blah, blah,
Do
blah.
we have a copy of those minutes?
yes. we have-
Barbara,
Can we take a recess for 5 minutes?
Yeah,
All right,
so
So-
we table.
Yeah,
So
that's what I
this-
thought.
Okay, so, but we table it on the full board meeting.
okay.
Again, full board meeting we table it, not in the committee.
Could someone let me in so I know what's going on, please?
They muted
No.
the office. They're looking for the minutes on what was done with the
Okay.
tabling the motion.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Motion, this is from the land use. What
Yeah.
about the full board?
No, full board,
No.
we're
It
tabled.
was
No, we
tabled.
Tabled it.
Yeah.
So what is?
All right,
the-
we made a motion at the full thing to approve this.
What's the motion say?
Motion made by Marion Cleaver, seconded by Michael Russo. The Land Use Committee of Community Board 13 votes to approve the special permit from New York City BSA pursuant to section 73-19 of the zoning resolution of the City of New York to vary ZR 32-00 to permit a use group 3 daycare facility, Kinderville, within an existing building in a C8-1 district with the following modifications. No standing zone, Friday, 7 AM to 7 PM, sign to be installed by DOT. I would like to point out that there is a fire hydrant directly in front of the entrance of this building. Okay, so
Next.
I guess,
next one, maximum number of children. Number of staff, 30. This was from the proposal that we last saw. Children to be escorted in and out of school by staff members. Approval for traffic monitoring to make sure traffic is controlled. School will install cameras in front of the school to monitor the area. The vote was in favor, 6.
That was the whole motion, I'm sorry?
Yeah,
That was the whole motion.
this is why I'm saying those.
The
mo-
vote was 6 in favor, 1 opposed, and 3 abstentions.
Okay.
All right, the
Michael?
motion carried.
Michael, the vote at the general board meeting, does that trump the committee vote that we tabled?
It was tabled until the next meeting.
Okay,
That's how it works.
okay.
But do we have to vote
But
again?
no,
You-
we don't vote.
we
The
don't vote.
board has to
The board-
We're
vote.
now bringing,
Okay.
it's untabled, that's why we
I
have the meeting.
understand, but for example, I'm not sure that's kind of recommendations, only recommendations we have to put. Because taking into consideration that we have never seen updated traffic study, we have never seen any analysis, we have never seen this. I mean,
Comments.
what are we what are we proposing? No standing
Okay.
sign, it has nothing to do with BSA or with
Right,
us. It's
okay.
The building, hold on a second, the building owner or the business owner, it was like they have to apply to DOT to get
The
the
traffic study.
traffic, no, to get the no
Sign.
standing sign. So it has nothing to do with BSA application being approved, it doesn't have to do with any kind of condition. So whatever.
Okay, didn't they refer to the fact that by the time we get the full traffic studies, the full everything from all the involved DOT, from DEP, right? It's gonna be at BSA. But it's already gonna be approved, but we're not gonna get it in time to,
That DEP approval. It's not gonna happen.
we're not gonna get it.
Okay, we still can put that we would like to see the copies, we would like to do this. We want,
I'm sure
or,
they're gonna share it.
approval, in the condition that GEP analysis, whatever you call it, would be approved. That's what kind of modifications or recommendations we need. But we can add it, we can add it in a general board meeting on the discussion of the motion and have a new motion, correct?
The board meetings.
Correct, Michael?
We can amend
Amend.
the motion,
Yeah,
At a board meeting,
we can
consider,
amend it
Yeah,
here
And
and
then,
bring it to the board with the added conditions that Yelena talks about.
Yeah, it'd be easier.
Or
all right, my understanding of Robert's rules, all right?
Mm.
We made this motion, it went to the board. The discussion of this is a moot point because the board decided. The board
We had no discussion during general board meeting.
during journal,
When you read the motion, Jeff raised his hand and he said, Madam
read it.
Chair,
He read it.
point of information. So it was no discussion of the motion, okay?
Jeff read a prepared statement that no one was privy to except Jeff.
So
So what's
So
that?
that's fine.
then
All
we'll
right.
bring it up.
I don't see it quoted in the minutes.
There's only motion to table, end of story.
Motion.
Whether you read it or not, it doesn't matter. It's
All
better
right, I
to
don't think this has
discuss-
ever happened before.
Well,
That doesn't mean it can't
I
happen.
know, it doesn't
Madam
mean,
Coach, it's better to discuss everything right here as
Yeah.
much as possible, not from the board.
yeah,
The board will be too complicated.
yeah,
Better right now, right here, as much as
so
possible.
you can.
Add on
make
whatever
the-
you want,
Mhm.
and let's go to the finish line.
So do we have to, there is a motion to make a
You
we
can-
have to
you
make a
can-
motion, we have to
motion to
turn it
amend-
back on. Someone has to prepare a motion. Yes, Joanne?
No, because Michael was in the middle of saying something. I wanted to hear what he had to say, so. It's,
We want to amend the motion to bring it to the board. So let's put together the motion and then we'll worry about the mechanics of how to present it to the board. We're going to, we know right now, I make a motion to amend the most, I make a motion to amend the previous a second, committees, wait a minute. Committee's motion that was tabled,
All right, why don't we
Okay.
just make a new motion?
because you're amending the original motion.
Right, but
It's
it-
still sitting on the table. How do you remove it from the table? You have to amend it,
or just forget.
or what? Ignore it? No, you
yeah, I
can't.
don't think you can.
Okay,
Once you table it,
When you can amend the motion,
I'm sorry?
is it a limitation of the time when you can amend the motion?
probably
really.
not.
Not- okay.
No.
I'm sure Robert didn't think about this.
So why don't we think about what we want to put into the new motion, then we'll worry
Should we
about
Put them
the
back on.
mechanics.
They're all-
Everybody's on.
They're the same.
Oh, okay.
Elena, you
Michael Russo, we're amending the motion that went. He's,
good.
yeah, now he's on.
Okay.
All right.
I'm here.
Okay, good. So who's gonna amend the motion that was previously brought to the board?
Well, basically, it's the committee recommends the approval with the following conditions. Okay, and if you think about it, did everyone receive Greg's letter today?
Yeah,
Okay, it's another one.
yeah. Greg said.
I was about to respond, but I decided not.
Okay. Which means what?
Oh, there's.
I don't know what that means. Okay, but, oh, why, it came on, oh,
Yeah, he,
anybody read it? Anybody have a
That's the
comment?
second time he's sending the same
Yeah.
letter.
Same letter, all right, so we
Oh,
can,
so it's the same letter.
let's work on the information we have now in our hands. Proceeding, let's proceed forward. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
About what?
Go ahead. You're
As I heard,
co-chair.
as I heard, many concerns from the committee, which is valid concerns, very, very important valid concerns. From Ida, from Elena, from Jeff, everybody else here. If you drive down Coney Avenue from, Neptune Avenue, from the beach toward, Avenue Z. Used to be on where there's Banner Avenue.
yeah,
There's a gas station there and on the gas station and a car wash. They're building a fresh new daycare center. So right there used to be an old mechanic shop. Again, it's right there on Conrad Avenue on the right-hand side. If you're driving from the water, from Brighton Beach Avenue, toward Avenue Z and Zebra, toward the Bell Parkway, you're gonna pass by a gas station, both a gas station, and there's a car wash, high-tech car wash. Between them is going a fresh new daycare center. Used to be old mechanic shop. And you want to talk about traffic crossing the street? That is one of the most dangerous intersection in the area. Conrad Avenue, but
with
it's all
all
part
due
of it.
respect, what does that
It's
have to
as
do
of-
with what's on here?
What's on the table now?
No, it's as of right, which means old gas stations to be, old mechanic shop. As of right, it's
It
building.
has nothing to do with the motion that we have to make.
The motion, the DP gotta approve it, DP gotta be involved.
No,
Means
okay.
DP.
Okay, I'm looking at Greg letter, that's the same letter. And number 1, 2, 3, he's right about sound.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
but they're
just-
already doing that for sound.
No,
That's
or-
I don't
okay,
need
but
doing
put
it.
it
I
in the
wanna
motion.
put it in
So
motion.
what?
Okay, number 2 is fine, okay, they have to share with us analysis. And number 3, that's what we were talking about, that they're gonna do the new study, okay?
Go ahead.
Number 4, it's not gonna work, I mean, you can put it.
That's okay, but it's a wish list. That's all that it is,
Okay.
right?
Stereo camera. GT provide curbside parking restriction, that's what we have. Okay, number 7, I don't wanna even start reading.
Well, listen.
That's
we'll do-
separate. Okay, that's fine. But 1 through 6 makes up a good motion.
We have from 4 to 6, I believe we have it already. Except, yeah,
They've already.
so I would add number 1, number 2, and number 3, you're absolutely right.
About the
But-
noise?
But they're already.
Yeah, about the noise, about
Okay, so-
sharing traffic
But they're
study.
already-
Yes, we know they already said that, but
Right.
unless it's in the motion, we don't get our day in court, so to speak. So put it in the motion and it's an easy check mark for them. They already
Absolutely.
did it. So what?
Okay,
It's
so-
just.
Mr. Wallace,
Sam is
After-
taking in this meeting.
All right, so what did the?
Wait,
what do you have?
what, Michael?
Michael wants to say
Yeah,
something.
Michael,
after all this discussion and everything, we still have to wait for BSA to come back to us, no? Or
No,
No.
no.
No?
No,
We're just making a
nobody-
we're making a recommendation to BSA.
Yes.
Kind of, yes.
Our opinion, it's a opinion, we are sending opinion to BSA. How community board 13 feels about this project.
Okay, well, we made,
So-
we have the guts of what we wanted to say, so let's just finish it in the motion and send it on its way. We're wasting way too much time on this stuff. You know, it's up to BSA, it's up to DOT, it's up to DEP. It's really not up to us. Once they do all their studies and everything gets done, we make our recommendations, they can take it and leave it.
Michael Russo has a point.
Yeah,
Because DP
but
will not let
that's-
it slide.
But that's with everything, but at least
But we are all
you have to have your
recommendational,
voice.
but you-
Okay,
But our
so-
So we
voice
make
counts.
our
You wanna
point,
give up
Now
your
we-
voice?
Okay.
Okay.
we make our point,
you
and
can't.
then
Three
and then
plus
we move
two.
on.
That's okay, then why are we here?
Okay,
So add
To
it
try to do something.
Because Lindsay had a dream.
Right, these
Well.
3, I guess.
so
Why
we
is
can keep
three
3
more?
plus 3, yeah. From Greg, 1 to
Oh,
3,
Greg's 1, 2, 3. Okay.
1 to 3 in this 3, because it's identical to Greg. I mean, maybe different wording, but the meaning is identical to Greg, 4, 5, 6.
Didn't you
think-
get the letter from Greg?
Yeah, we all.
You
I
want me
think
to
if we
send
add
you
these three, I think if we add these three to the,
I'll give it to you.
other motion, okay? I think it's a done, it's done. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Add these three to the, okay? Sam, yeah,
Well, it's,
No,
Yeah.
I want to hear what you said.
He said add the first 3.
Okay.
That's what he's saying, the first 3.
You have a letter? You have a letter?
I have Greg's letter, yeah.
Yeah, we all have letter.
Yeah.
It's 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I
No,
got
because
the-
No,
here's the point, I mean,
I just
Just
sent
take-
it to her. So she can just pull it out of the document.
okay.
So you got it?
No, I got it here. Thank you.
What do you mean?
don't stay. Phil.
Okay, send me the email.
Marion, I have it now, so you're not spending
Not one.
I
but
sent
it's out.
it to
No,
you.
no, no, but you
How
got-
long does it take to go from here to there?
quite a while. Still have-
Oh, Michael, do we have to type now? If we are not voting? for a new motion?
Why are we not voting?
Are we voting for a new motion?
Yeah, because
Okay.
this is not what we're
We're
talking
not
about.
amending it, we're
Right.
doing a new
Yeah, we're just
motion,
gonna
that,
take
call it that.
If you're doing a new motion, what happens to the old one? That was
No, we are
tabled.
amending, we are not
No,
doing
she
new.
says
I'm
we're
saying
doing a
we're
new-
doing a new motion.
And I'm saying the
No,
other
It
one
was
was,
tabled because there was no
but
consensus.
it's still there.
Yeah.
If it was tabled, then it still exists.
That's why we have the amendment, not the new
Yeah,
motion.
thank you.
It's just
It's
amending
amendment,
that
just
amount.
an amendment.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay. So you're adding the three from, Greg, and that's.
And
finished.
three we have.
All right, so who's gonna make the motion? Sam, make the motion.
I second it.
No, no.
Don't do that to me, I need. We are making a new motion. Sam.
An amended.
Amended
Make an
motion.
amended motion.
Wait a minute. It was a motion already to amend the motion. Am I
Yes,
deaf?
Right,
Okay.
right.
right.
So as soon as now we have amendment motion, we can vote on
This,
it.
we're now putting together the amended motion,
Okay,
the new motion
amend
to amend.
the motion.
No.
No, we're making an amendment to the motion, the existing motion.
To amend the existing motion. So
We're
what
amend-
are we voting for, Michael?
Yeah.
What they can come from?
Number one, two, and three.
Well, but they can't do anything. on
Someone
their
has to read it into the.
Okay, hold on.
Well-
For us, but why do we recommend when they say they're not modifying envelope of the building? Why would we recommend?
They are
to add
doing
the-
acoustic
They are, they're
wall.
doing
They are
acoustics throughout the,
acoustic
before you got
acoustic
here.
wall.
In interiors, we shouldn't be saying rooftop.
They
That's
did say,
what it is.
They did say rooftop.
They
They
did-
said rooftop.
They
No,
said,
They said no.
No,
they
said
said
rooftop,
yes, they said the
Angela.
rooftop where the older children will go up.
But in their application, they said they are not modifying building envelope.
You don't
So
have
it's
to make,
contradiction.
it's not a modification of building envelope. It's just one acoustic.
I think Angela knows a little bit more about architecture than the rest of us.
No, I understand. But, okay, ask
With
them.
envelope,
The-
it's a rooftop.
That is,
Fences.
that is.
The modification, excuse me, the modification on the roof, Angela, is a wish list that they're gonna do. They're not saying that they're gonna do
So
it.
that's how.
Ask them again.
no,
But
they,
they're not
they
going-
said
they're
they,
gonna do it.
They might do it.
They're not going
No,
to-
they
They
said.
proposed it. They
Right.
proposed to put up the acoustical tile,
That's it.
okay?
they said because of the decibel levels, they didn't have to, but they felt more comfortable
To do.
and that it was inexpensive that they were going to put up that acoustic wall.
Well, I heard
That's
it different.
exactly
I
what
heard
they
it that
said.
they might put
We
it up.
can ask them, they're still
Okay,
there?
are you putting
Kevin.
acoustic wall or you are thinking about it? Or maybe, depends what comes from the noise test.
I would recommend the board put it in as a recommendation, because as the noise study indicates right now, it's 67 decibels on the rooftop. It does not warrant a fence. However, we believe that, this is something that would be a benefit to the school, but it's not required based on the guidelines and the requirements of DEP. Having said that, they may come back and say, put it in, but it's not based on the math. It's not warranted. So if the board would like to see that as a recommendation, I suggest you put it in, and the BSA may very well want that in. I would suspect they may.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Sam, you're making the motion?
I second it. And you're gonna make it.
No.
I mean, you want to use stuff.
All right,
Fine,
children,
number
let's
one,
not
okay.
play.
All right,
Number one is,
I am amending the motion that was tabled at the previous. The motion that was made at the Land Use Committee meeting on April 15th, 2024, that was then tabled at the full board meeting, what's the date?
April 18th.
April 18th, 2024, to the effect that. Wait,
This here.
I just lost his name.
No.
There, that the applicant provides a sound and
Attenuation.
plan that will reduce and buffer both the interior and rooftop sound design to meet the required noise control standards. That the applicant, bless you, that the applicant be required to perform and share with the community a sound analysis compliance study, including both the interior and rooftop areas after the daycare facility opens, to evaluate whether noise conditions are within established thresholds as offered by the applicant's representative at the April 15th CB13 Land Use Committee meeting. And third, that the applicant be required to perform and share with the community a compliance traffic study, 1, after the daycare facility opens, and 2, after it has achieved its full capacity, to evaluate whether traffic conditions in the vicinity of the faculty are safe, orderly, as offered by the applicant's representative at the April 15th CB13 Land Use Committee meeting.
Next
That's
one.
the motion.
No,
That's
next-
no,
no,
that the,
Three.
no. That the applicant and the community board requests that the 60th
We
precinct,
said 1 to 3.
no,
We
not
said one to
three.
three.
We said 1 to
Don't-
3.
Don't do it
Yeah,
about
okay.
the.
And
No,
this is
don't
out
do
of the
it.
question. 'cause-
It's out
I
of-
know,
Yeah.
okay,
No.
But Michael.
All right,
Okay.
these are the conditions that we are,
1, 2, and 3.
1,
One,
2,
two,
and
three.
3. Those are the conditions that we're asking. And that is the motion that I am
Well,
making and
we-
presenting to
hold
the
on,
committee.
time out, please. That we didn't talk about the parking restrictions that, which we originally did at the last meeting
But you
about
should have it.
making it. Can I finish a
I'm
sentence,
sorry.
please? Okay, that we spoke about at the last meeting, that made, instead of the no standing, it was no standing 7 to 4 school days.
7 to 7.
Right,
7 to
and I'm
7,
also
whatever it
saying
was.
there, on either side of this building, there are no standing, no parking,
It's
no
already- it's
anything.
already there.
And in front of the building, there is a hydrant.
There's no sand dash, you need time over there. You need time.
Is there any reason to ask for that? Seriously,
I'm sorry.
the funeral parlor is gonna have it, they're gonna take care of it.
It's already there for some reason. Maybe because of the funeral home or something was there before.
Because they're taking body from this side.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Any,
He didn't finish.
No, go ahead,
Did you finish?
yeah.
yeah, because he was gonna talk about the parking.
1 second.
And I
so
said
we're not
there's no-
adding-
It's-
I'm sorry.
Fine.
If,
Where's me?
yeah, I just have a question before Barbara, because I'm very, very confused. If we're amending the motion, what we just put in, is that in addition to what's in the original motion? So the motion includes what was
All
in
that,
Mike,
special permit.
Michael. Yeah.
Looking,
Yeah,
Oh,
the
okay.
original, all right, the original motion does refer to a no standing zone, which we're not having. The maximum number of children, they keep changing, so
77.
yeah, but they keep changing, they just presented this little chart that showed less children, less staff, right? The children to be escorted in and out of the school. I guess we could add that, the approval for traffic monitoring. So isn't that what we're asking
I
for?
didn't ask if you were changing it. I said, what I asked was, does what the original motion read have to be incorporated into what we're doing now?
All right,
Or,
so,
or are we allowed, because obviously she's changing.
right,
you're amending the original motion.
Oh, wait,
You-
so we can take
you-
it.
to
out.
be
you can take
more
that out.
All right, that's
favorable,
all.
right?
I must admit, I am extremely.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Barbara.
If
I
there's
didn't-
something that can help me do this, right?
I think Barbara had a question.
I did, but now I forgot. No, I know. Okay, so we're doing, I have to be clear, 1, 2, 3 from Craig's letter.
Yeah,
We
right.
are
Right.
not touching about parking.
No,
No, 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6.
All I,
What we're doing is we're amending the motion that was presented to the board from the committee
by adding
Do-
one to.
by changing the whole thing. We're not adding.
What do you mean we are not doing?
We are not adding no
Stop,
standing
stop,
zone.
stop,
We're
stop.
not including maximum number of children because they keep changing it. We're not calling number of staff.
And you-
Because they changed it. They
Barbara,
presented that
and you
children.
you cover yourself by saying due to new information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
One second.
good point.
Gotta be a reason you're amending it.
Due to new information.
Due to new, this will be the emotion coming out of
Marion
committee.
amended the motion, made it the land use committee on whatever that.
Actually, I think it's putting there about 77 kids. Because
All right, April.
there might be second floor, there might come.
They keep, no, they keep
changing it.
reducing
They
it.
keep
They keep
changing it.
changing it.
Because they have no idea how many.
They have no idea how many children they're gonna be able to put. All right, but like we both talked about, the Board of Health,
We've
the,
only been the first, any way to control, we've only been the first floor, which means not gonna make the second floor part of the first floor.
the second floor of the psychiatrist's office.
They might have moved out, going to the daycare.
It's not, it's not a city job. You gotta keep people forever. People come.
Okay, guys,
So they don't have to-
No, they don't.
they don't-
Okay, they put ground floor.
You got it, Barbara?
Oh, don't worry.
What,
I don't have
Barbara?
a second.
Barbara, ask.
Ground floor is cellar.
After the first report.
Okay.
from-
Right.
But,
Then-
Hold on, hold on.
Hold on,
Quiet,
hold on,
Barbara.
hold on.
There's a question.
No, there's a comment from Kevin. If you.
Kevin, you can speak.
Yeah,
Okay.
the size is capped by the BSA resolution. So if we submit 77 students, 28 staff, if that changes, if it goes above that, we have to come back to the board. We
New
have to
application.
come back to you.
Right,
Okay.
We don't have to-
okay,
All right.
so that's why you took away the 77, right?
no, they.
I
have
want to
seven.
understand this. Or 77 is the cap, the ultimate that you can go to.
It
Either
is.
that or he has to come back to us.
No, he has to come back to BSA, not us.
No, we would have to come back to you as well.
Yeah, right.
Well,
It's,
They're not changing.
They just love us.
So why did they show us that beautiful?
Building department.
Barbara, go ahead.
Let me, this is for myself, for my own, for that, when I sit.
Yes.
Know what I'm talking about. It's the first three from Craig. That's it, and the reason that we're doing it.
good to know.
Do we have new
Let us say it.
Finish. Right,
Marion Cleaver will amend the motion made at the Land Use Committee on April 15, 2024, and was tabled at the Community Board meeting of 4/18/24. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it was tabled goes first, right? The original motion being tabled at the community board meeting,
Right.
the land use committee now amends the motion due to new information supplied. Okay, it is to read as follows. Okay? And then you've got your three.
Then we have the three from Craig's letter.
right.
The three
One,
questions,
two,
right?
right, the three states.
Wait, so we are not leaving approval for traffic monitoring to make sure traffic is controlled. School will install cameras in front of the school to monitor. We are omitting those two as well.
My feeling is they will be included as part of the safety.
If you want to add them on, add
No,
them on.
huh?
Whatever you. should add.
You
No,
wanna
I
add
mean-
it, add it.
No.
Isn't that part of the original motion?
Yeah, it was part of the original
What?
So
motion.
that's part of the
Where is the
motion. We're
original
amending the
motion?
original motion.
Land Use Committee? Didn't I have it there, I think?
Yes, you got it.
Should have lied.
I think either the Department of Ed or DOT.
But we still put it. They told us
Or
what. to
Board
put,
of
we
Health.
put it.
We're never gonna come to
Charge
that.
for medical bills.
They give some.
That motion was there already. We're adding more. And that's it.
We're changing it.
I understand what changing.
Stop
it,
with
but
the
we're not
English
changing-
lessons.
we're
We
not changing the
understand, but it
original
No,
makes
I'm
it
listening.
worse.
I know, it's.
We're not changing the original motion. We're just modifying the original motion to add the three new things that we would like to add on and then present that to the board.
So
Correct.
my,
That's even the stuff that, because of the Johnny pump in front and the no standing signs. We need to decide whether we want this wish list, I'll call it that again, from the first motion into the second motion. Okay, which means the modification was no standing zone Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sign installed by DOT,
Yeah.
okay? Max number of children, 77, number of staff, 30.
28 and-
Don't need that,
No, we don't need that.
28.
okay? Children to be escorted in and out of school by staff members,
We don't need that. That's not us.
that's the original motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Approval for traffic monitoring to make sure traffic is controlled,
Maybe.
okay. School will install, they already said, school will install cameras in front of the school to monitor the area, they already said it, but why not? It couldn't hurt, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, Barbara, so you got it?
Wait,
I second that again.
I'll make a copy.
Wait,
excuse me, Michael Silverman made the motion.
So who made the?
I made the motion, okay?
I second it.
Michael Russo seconded.
Give this to him.
I think he-
No. I need to-
Wait. I don't think Michael was.
Check off,
No, he cannot vote.
check off what you want on there.
You
Okay, I did.
1 minute. Just check off what you want, like,
We did. It's on the slide.
We need a second from here.
I second it.
Jeff seconds it.
Oh, Jeff said.
John,
All right, Marion Cleaver.
Yes.
1 second.
What? I'm voting on this?
1 minute,
Wait.
1 second,
Can't.
Just wait.
1 second.
I want to hear this construct.
Don't jump the gun.
Don't jump the gun yet.
Okay.
praise me.
You got it.
It's great, you know, sometimes.
Okay.
It's so great, I know the word.
He's not here.
the Land Use Committee of Community Board 13 votes to approve the special permit from NYC BSA pursuant to section 73-19 of the zoning resolution of City of New York to vary ZR 32-00 to permit a use group 3-day care facility. Kinderville, in parentheses, within an existing building in a C8-1 district with the following modifications.
Maybe recommendations?
With the
Yeah,
following
following
modifications.
Modifications.
Modifications or recommendations?
Or
You're
recommendation?
modifying
So what
the.
do you want? It doesn't- Flip a coin, what do you feel better with? Well, you did, because it said
did.
so.
No, it's our letter. We're gonna put it in our letter. We are recommending or we are
Give her.
modification
This is
means
the-
change. Modification means some kind of change.
Yeah,
We are doing
Recommending.
amendments to the
There's the
motion.
checks and
But when you put it in the letter, how it should,
It's a
to be
copy,
sent
that's his
to
copy.
No,
BSA. We are,
give this to her.
Yeah, let him.
Can you stop? Come on. Go ahead, please.
when you send it to BSA, okay? We are approving with following recommendations or modifications. We are not modifying, it's not modification to
Okay.
their application.
You're correct. Yep, thank you.
All right.
Michael, you
Okay.
look better than Placido Domingo now.
Wow.
So was it modification or recommendation?
Recommendations.
Recommendations. With that,
I need a drink.
Me too.
Me too.
I have one.
with,
Oh, yeah, big shot.
What?
He's got one.
at that point, then we add the 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, 3 from Fred. Okay.
We add number 4, no standing zone Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Signed to be, you have that?
It's from
Does
the
she have-
original one.
I have it right
Go get that. Just
I'll
give
give it to you. I've got it checked.
Yeah. Here's the check.
Approval for traffic monitoring to make sure traffic is controlled. Who will install cameras in front of the school to monitor area, which they already said they were going to do, but
Whatever.
and here it is in writing. Okay, motion was made by me, was seconded by Jeff.
Motion was made by Michael Silverman, seconded by Jackson.
I thought Michael Russo said.
You can't.
He
Michael,
can, he's not here.
Gotta be in
Oh,
person.
right.
Person.
Gotta be in person.
He's here in spirit.
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right, so
No, you're going to get a draft of this.
can we, I'll keep my,
somebody call the vote.
can we call now
Yes, okay.
for the vote,
Everyone
please?
good, Marion, or-
Okay,
Marion
no,
Cleaver,
no, yeah.
Yes,
Marmakovsky,
Yes.
Jeannie Hernandez,
Yes.
Angela Kravchenko,
Yes.
Elena Mahmoudi,
Yes.
Jeffrey Shena,
Yes.
Michael Silverman,
Yes,
Joanne Weiss.
Yes.
motion passed.
Mary, did you call me?
She called me
Yeah,
first.
she
Voice, wait.
She
How
called
can I
me.
make
In favor.
You said
Alright.
yes.
That's just
Eight in
what
favor.
I
Okay.
wanted to say.
Hold on.
okay,
But just.
so Elise, there you have the motion that will be presented to the board at the next meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I'll talk with Eddie about if you want me to come or zoom in or whatever you'd like me to do.
All right,
Thanks
thank
for the
you.
hard work, guys. Good resolution. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Next.
Okay, so
Next.
next, real quick, everyone get a copy of these. I'm sure you haven't, if you haven't, just pass down for now.
Did you, yes.
We also, these are, you got those printed already, but this is, what do you call it? Some information that came in today. Yes, yeah,
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Justin.
That's it.
That's all I had?
Yeah.
I mean, all right, real quick, next Wednesday, we're gonna have a public hearing on the city of Yes, from city planning. This is going all over the city to 59, community boards. We have to go through the same thing that we did with economic opportunities, we do it with housing opportunities. It breaks down into, as I said, 8 chapters or 8 proposals. We're not going through it tonight because it's a long thing. This is just a summary of what they would like us to pass. If you can look it over for now, agree or disagree with whatever they say. We will discuss this on the June 3rd meeting, following the public hearing. If it needs to be another meeting after that, that's up to you, but June 3rd is gonna be the public hearing, the follow-up with this land use with city planning. City planning will be here to discuss more in detail too. And then, other than that, we will send you the full part. It's
Full text.
huge, it's huge. It's about 1,400 pages. So, what,
Good, you read it.
yeah, okay,
It's
Yeah,
fed,
49
it's fed reading.
yeah. So, is there any
Bathroom
questions?
reading.
Is there any questions? Because we're not gonna
What
discuss.
what kind of questions you can get for manifest?
Yeah,
Okay, if there's.
You said June 3rd, that's
June 3rd
Monday.
is Monday, yes. So if you need to have a follow-up meeting, you have a follow-up meeting if you want to, but if not, that's first one that you're gonna have. Is there any question up at Zoom?
Joanne said it. Joanne said it, it's bathroom reading.
What?
You can discuss more about,
Oh.
this is NYCHA, yeah, someone sent this from NYCHA.
This, Angela, I'm looking at this unlocked at night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and?
And when,
I like that one.
okay, but they were transfer air rights, but there seems to be a contradiction. Because it's no transfers to floodplains.
mhm,
So how can they have these buildings?
yeah, see, yep,
Bargain, this looks like over 2 million square feet.
Yeah.
Of transferable air rights. So there's no, and yet they can transfer it to within a half mile or something, right? Started reading it.
What they're talking about is the interest building, right? Around like, and they're saying they're going to build between the buildings. That's like, how.
Everybody's in. But in between, yeah, in between over
Parking lot.
parking lot.
Parking lots, yeah,
That's what they call unlocking, they just find the better. word.
Oh.
or one story,
Terminology.
okay.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Paris will be
Yes,
available.
city of Zohan Bay or.
I don't need translation. Okay, all right, motion.
Okay, but each and every citywide proposal always sounds as a disaster because you cannot compare what you have. And I don't know who we have to talk to, we are transfer zone, whatever they call it, it's close to transportation,
Yeah.
Coney Island and Brighton. And we're gonna be recipients of all of those programs except basements, I believe, okay?
Yeah, you can't.
So, okay, except basements, you cannot legalize basement in our area, but you still can legalize garages and sheds. And you're building something.
My
in the
terrace,
balcony, yeah,
right.
terrace.
My
Uh,
nail place.
Nail place, okay, so I don't know who we have to talk to. It's,
It's a flood zone, the evacuation zone.
I don't know what's worse, the city of Yes or this. It was an article in the Sunday Times, I think it was in the Metro section, about disadvantaged communities and how they have more than their share of, ecological and environmental burdens, and one of the neighborhoods they mentioned was Red Hook, which lost.
they're building now, there.
Which lost, they talk about how the poor, that in Red Hook, they lost a lot of their trees during Hurricane Sandy, and it's tough to grow trees because the soil is slack, and how the trees are, have the ability to take pollutants out of the air, and here as Angela just pointed out to me, here's a before building here of NYCHA with nice green trees. And the after is more concrete and more, this thing is like. Okay.
Take a deep breath.
The problem with all of these,
I know.
the problem with all of these things is they want you to look at it as if it is in a vacuum. That this is just, okay, we're just gonna infill on NYCHA and we're just gonna build here. But these things do not exist in a vacuum. There are other buildings, other streets around it. And just when you put it into the context of what's happening in other parts of the city, again, this article specifically mentioned trees in Red Hook and how the loss of the trees was further hurting this disadvantaged neighborhood. And now, didn't anybody who put this out read the New York Times article? It's like, and and they're talking here, they're showing you sites in Coney Island, and yet they're telling you that there's no transfers to floodplain. This entire peninsula is a floodplain.
Right.
So how is it possible, look at the contradictions. Just
it's made for idiots, it's made for idiots, it's made for whatever. Also, I don't know if you read the article, when we had discussion the last time for economic part of city of Yes, when we asked about enforcement, we were told GOB will enforce. Okay, it
They're
just,
cutting back on DOB
they cut back on
inspectors.
GOB inspectors.
Can I add something to the city of Yes? I started to read a little bit about it. There are some parts that make sense. For example, if you are living in one family, two family house, you have a garage converted to apartment, you have a grandma living in the garage, why not make it legal? Makes sense. For
No.
for some areas, but everything is different. What works for Coney Island is not gonna work for
That's what they
Manhattan,
said.
for Manhattan Beach, or it's not gonna work for the Bay Beach. So we're supposed to have more power on advisory, what is working for us. If we want up, build, low rise and mid rise, it could work, but we are high rise area in the floodplains. We can afford, we are a heat index zone 5. We can't afford more concrete. We cannot. We are already.
And that's gonna increase the flooding. It's gonna increase flooding.
Yeah.
Infrastructure that are 100 years old. So they say if NYCHA sells their air rights, they could use the money to update, what, like rehabilitate, rehab contextual construction. Nonsense. They find how to park this money somewhere else. It's just, there is not enough money to update it by selling air rights. So what I am saying, we should say that put that in a special condition. It's environmental disaster as it is right now. You start building even more, but there is some construction we can stop. But this maybe we can talk about it and say, we just can't afford to lose.
And this is still where they're proposing to build is a dead end peninsula. It's the dead end of a peninsula with no outside access.
Yes, ma'am.
So how are they transferring and building more, even more density than now?
Plus, they're also saying no parking, so new development are going to be required to have a parking for the cars. Great, but public transportation is not getting any better. It's unreliable. I mean, I hope you're gonna.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
What about the wind?
All right, you're looking at more ferries. You're gonna add more ferries.
Before you will have more ferries.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Because the problem is, again, you're a peninsula and the ocean and the sand and the tides, they don't care how much money you have to spend. They don't care about your plans. They're gonna do what they continue to do. And we already have a problem here since the 1994 project, which screwed up sand transport around the entire peninsula. So if you put in the breakwaters that ferries require, it's just gonna screw up the sand transport even more. Plus with the beaches eroding like crazy, we're gonna flood, you got a terrible hurricane season coming up. I mean, again, everything is connected to everything else, but they want you to look at it. It's just this one little piece, like it exists with nothing else around it.
Yeah, and I did read that there would be unforeseen environmental impact. So I think that's a very important aspect to consider. New York City is sinking already. They're not like, that should be the top priority right now. It's been in the news, it's been on TikTok, right on 31. So, yeah, I just can't get that out of my head of New York City sinking and then not considering the weight and everything in the buildings. And they just
Welcome to
wanna
New York City. Welcome to the community board. This is what we get every week.
Yeah.
Elena.
What?
The phone again?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
And you gotta get a better evacuation.
all right, other than that,
Get the evacuation plan. There's not
We have a
enough.
motion to
There's not
adjourn?
nearly enough
Mary?
shelter beds for the population here that has to be
Motion to-
evacuated.
Our evacuation
No,
is
not
like
yet.
miles away anyway.
But even if.
Oh,
you wanna go
I have a
miles
question.
away-
Wait a minute.
no.
Last committee meeting, we had item in agenda about letter of support to this supportive housing.
To what?
We're not,
The supportive housing.
What do you
Okay.
mean we not?
we didn't do it.
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yes.
It was brought up to full board,
Yes,
okay, and we table it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
okay, I found out information. I said to them, we will not sign a support letter unless there's parking, in the new development. They came back and said, we're not putting no new parking in there. What they see right there is what they're gonna do. And that's it. I said, so you don't need all that? They said, no, we just going to leave it as it is, without this community board support letter. Cause they are not gonna change the
but you
plan.
understand
Yeah,
their
yeah,
right,
yeah,
but whatever.
yeah.
Okay.
But they're
still,
changing, they're not changing their
No,
plan.
they
That's
don't
why.
need-
They don't need it.
like-
No,
don't need-
because people that are homeless, that
Yeah.
are living in their cars aren't gonna need their cars
Parking.
anymore.
Wait a
You know
minute,
about visitors.
but,
you know
but
about
wait a minute,
That's
wait
their
a minute,
problem.
wait a minute. 60-something apartments in their building,
Are gonna
they
be
have for families
Yep.
for 60% of area medium income. They're not homeless, okay?
Affordable.
They're working families, okay?
They're very poor families. They can't afford a car.
Really?
Relative.
What about
to
visitors?
60% of the AM is not enough money to have a car and kids
Mhm.
and everything else. No.
But 5 years from now, they can. That's the whole thing, you know, so, you know.
They'll be lucky, they'll get a good city job.
50% of area medium income,
job.
if you look, that's only working families,
Yeah,
only
Right,
working
I know it's
families.
worse, but it's still not
So
that,
they cannot afford car,
they cannot.
that's not, okay, so they have to walk.
Well, friends.
Can they afford bike? They're gonna have a bike place.
For the summer.
In today's post, they had an article.
They can't afford
Motion to
food,
adjourn
but they
or-
can't pay rent, but they got cars.
Second.
and
They got
fancy
cars.
vehicles.
all right, thank you, guys.
I'm waiting for everybody outside, I'm hot.